Hello again everyone, it's Sunday today and the weather's a little bit windier and sunny again. It stopped raining, so let's crack on with this. Hey, right down there, boy. You can get trodden on if you ain't careful. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is cut a bit of angle to stick over there. I thought I had some angle in the garage, but I couldn't find any, so I must have used it all up. So I picked this up when I bought the silicone yesterday. I had to buy a whole 2.5 metre length just to get the 40mm I need, but I'm sure I'll use the rest for something else at some point. Well, there we go. Nikki thinks it was silly videoing it to show you doing that, but I think that looks splendid. But there you go. Anyway, now that's done, we can start the silicone sealant, and the thing to do is I'm going to clean it down a little bit, and then I am going to tape the joints and just apply the silicone in a normal way, smoothing off with a bit of water. And yeah, that should hide up a lot of these gaps. Well, there we go. There is a start on it. And I've just got to carry on and do all the rest of the joints. I don't think you really need to see me do all of it. So I'll join you again once this is complete. Well, it's bad news, I'm afraid, everyone. Look, I've been cleaning the shower tray in preparation to put the sealant round. And when I was cleaning, a little bit came away and has exposed this previous repair, which obviously hasn't held. So there's a bit of a difficulty here, because now I've clad the walls, it's going to be very difficult to remove the shower tray. But we don't necessarily need to, because you can buy repair kits for these. So I'm going to go and have a look online and see if I can order a plastic shower tray repair kit. Well, I have had a look online and I found some products to fix that shower tray. So I've gone ahead and I've sealed up all the rest of the joints, apart from the ones around the perimeter of the shower tray, because I'll wait until I've repaired it to seal those, because I might coat it in something and obviously that coating wouldn't stick over the silicone. So I need to leave that until I've done whatever I'm going to do with the shower tray. Also had another delivery. We've had nice shower hose delivered. So yeah, there we are with all the silicone sealant done, apart from around the shower tray. And it does look very white. It's definitely white, isn't it? It's as white can be. Yeah, pretty pleased with it so far, I suppose. I've also, of course, remembered to seal up round the joint where the toilet goes up against the coachwork here. Well, it's Tuesday now, and I've had a few deliveries. I've got this, which is acrylic solvent weld stuff to stick this perspex together. Stop fiddling with me, woman. And I've got this, which is the epoxy resin stuff to fix the shower tray. I've got this dog bowl, more on that later. And I've also tried the shower head into this bracket with the hose on, and it actually fits very nicely. So I think that will be fine as well. I picked these up when I went and got the silicone the other day. This is like a wire basket thing that hangs on these two pegs. And I'm going to try that instead of putting up that big cabinet again, because that takes up quite a bit of space where you stand and have your shower, and we're trying to make a bit more space in there. Well, the first thing to tackle, I think, is this previous repair, and I'm going to dig out that stuff that's been used to repair it before. I'm going to make sure, get rid of this water, make sure it's all nice and dry, and give it a bit of a sand with some fine-ish sandpaper to give the new epoxy stuff a bit of a key. Well, that has the look of being a bubble in the original casting of the shower tray. This is obviously fiberglass. This is a gel coat, and it looks as if there's been a bubble when the matting's been put over there, and maybe that's just been kicked, or you know, something stored in here has poked it. Actually, I can feel that's a bit. Well, what we'll do is we'll get a good bit of putty and put in there, but it needs sanding off first. Right, well, you have to excuse me a second because I've got a duck in the oven. I'm just going to go and turn it over back in the house. Right, my duck's sorted. I'm going to use a nice big board for mixing. I'll give it a bit of a wipe off first, get some dust on there. Right, there we go. And I'm obviously going to use this power epoxy plastic repair goo stuff. This is a little plug for resealing it once you've used a bit to keep the rest. This is the little mixing puggler. I'm guessing this is a little tray for mixing it in, but we don't need that. We're going to use a bigger surface here. Just snap this off. You can see it's got some nasty symbols on it, so I'm going to wear some gloves while I do this as well. It's just to only dispense as much as you need, but I don't really want to take any chances not having enough, so that easy to get the cap back on. There you go. Right, so mix it up, make sure it's good. Bit of mixing. Quite a strong smell to this. I'm guessing it probably is quite nasty stuff. So, fill in all. It's a little bit more liquid than I was expecting. So, That's fine. It says it remains workable for 5 minutes, so I'm guessing it will start to stiffen up in a bit. You should be able to sand it once it's dry. I'm just going to make sure it's plenty pushed up under that lip because it's still slightly hollow under there. I'm not worried about looks in terms of colour and stuff at the moment, because I am going to refinish this shower tray. I'll wait a little while and let this stiffen up because it is sagging out of that hole. On your bugger, start to set. This would be a lot easier if I could stand the van on its front. Really, you just have to keep chasing it back up there. This is definitely more liquid than I'd hoped. It's going to be a bit more putty-like. It's starting to stiffen up now. Yeah, she's stiffening up now. Let's see if we can get a bit more in the middle of that hole. A bit more jelly-like now. Come on then, let's paste some more on there so we're not left with a crater. And yeah, she's definitely stiffening up now. That's it turned, that's setting now. Right, good stuff. Right, I reckon it's time to go and put my chips on now. Well, I'm hoping not to have to put back this basin that originally come out back into there because it takes up so much room. It's not massive, but it is quite big. I reckon you could bathe a medium-sized goblin in there. So it does come out quite a long way into the space where you're trying to have a shower. And really, with the shower in there, you're not going to need to have like a full stand-up wash in the sink anymore. So all you really need to do in here is to be able to wash your hands after you've been to the toilet and to brush your teeth and such. So I think we can make do with a much smaller container. And that really is where this comes in. I'm going to see if I can mount the old dog bowl into that white perspex and make it look decent-ish. I'm going to begin by recovering the tap and the waste off of this basin. Well, I've just been in and eaten me duck, and very nice it was too. It might be a bit of an odd choice to use this dog bowl, but I was looking around at the different motorhome and caravan sinks that you could get, and they all seemed a little bit too big, really. I even looked at the fold-up ones, and even those, when they're folded up, do intrude quite a long way away from the wall. So I'm hoping this will work out all right, but the next thing I want to do is try and cut that white perspex to shape. So let's go and get that. Now this white perspex is going to become effectively the worktop, the vanity top. So I want to position the bowl towards one corner of it, and that will leave space for the tap to go there. So I think if I measure a center point I don't know, for the cutout for the bowl, the centre point probably of about 112 mil by the look of it. And then I'll mark the centre of our cutout for the bowl. That's going to be the centre of our bowl arrangement. Now I just need to measure roughly the diameter of the bowl, which I think is about 210 really, and this lip is around, that's about 10 mil, so if it's 210 diameter, we've got 10 mil lip each side. If we make our centre hole 190, well, let's make it 192 to be on the safe side. We don't need to mark that, but I just want to position roughly the bowl, because what I want to do is I want to make a couple of holes. This one here is on a piece that's going to be cut off. In fact, I'll make it a little bit further back to make sure it's definitely in the bit that's going to be cut off. Then I want to drill a small hole roughly where the tap will go, and to do that I need to put the centre line across the middle, which I'm quite a long enough thing for. There's our centre line. Let's just get the tap so we can roughly gauge the size of it. Oh, it's going to come to about there-ish. So actually all we really need is the centre of that, don't we? That's 85, so 42.5 is the centre. So the trick here is when I cut the circle out of here, I'm going to use the router to do that. I need the perspex to stay in exactly the same position, because when that circle comes free, the centre bit in the middle, if it doesn't stay in exactly the same position, there'll be nothing to hold the perspex in the same place. So I'm going to do it with a swing arm out from the centre point. So I need the board underneath to be fixed to the perspex, but obviously I need to fix it in a way that's not going to damage any areas that are going to be exposed. So I'm going to drill a hole there and screw it down to this board. I'm going to have to countersink it as well. I need the top surface to be flush. Now this bit of 10mm studding I've had for a long time. This has been specially bent to allow it to act as a swing arm for cutting circles with the router. So I need to make a 10mm hole through where my centre is now. So now I'm going to mark on this centre line here. Remember, my 192 is the diameter I want. Let's just double check that's sensible. Yeah, 192. So I need to half that to find the radius I'm cutting to. So half of 192 is going to be 96. So I need to measure out now 96 from that centre to give me the outside of my circle I want to cut. So it's going to be there. Make that clear by. This pen is starting to play up on me. Oh well, anyway, it's that first mark. Well, I've got my router out now. I'm going to set it up to make this cut. Well, hopefully you can see what the game is here. You can see I've set the router up so the cutter just kisses that mark there as we go round. And obviously we swing on there and whizzy whizzy roundy roundy, cutty holy. Let's give it a shot. So there we go. One hole cut out. Now it's important, of course, when you do this to not plunge all the way through the backing board, otherwise you're back to square one and you may as well not have had a backing board. Anyway, the next thing I want to do is to round this off. Now I'm hoping I position that screw so that the cutter misses it when I do that. I'm going to have to be a little bit careful on this. I might put maybe a couple of screws on the outside of the board just to stop it swinging, because the danger is once I release that, or it gets to a certain point where this isn't strong enough to hold it, then this will move and our cut will be no good. So I'll just put a couple of screws in, maybe there, and I'll set the router up again so that the blade just kisses the edge here, and then run it round, and that should give us a nice radius on what will end up being the front of our vanity top. Let's give that a try. Now the one thing you do have to remember with this is it is important to have a centerline mark there that goes right to the edge of the board, because you've got to stop. Not like cutting the circle, it doesn't really matter where you stop, you've got to stop when you hit that mark, because if you carry on you'll start to cut in to the bit you want to leave. So you do need to make sure you've got those marks. Anyway, I reckon that's come out alright. So now I want to cut the hole for the tap. So I'm going to do that with a hole saw. I think that'll be fine. And I just need to pick out the right size hole saw for the job. So I'll go and check the size of the cutout for the tap. So yeah, this hole saw is going to be about right. What's that? That's, I think, 35 mil, is it? Yeah, 35 mil. And that pretty much is exactly the same size as the hole in this little, what would you call it? Like escutcheon thing. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to use this hole that I used to secure it. I'm going to shift it forward a little bit, so I just cut that out with the hole saw, but move the tap forward slightly. So let's go ahead, mark that up and cut that out. So there we go, nice vanity top with the tap hole and the sink hole cut out. But what I'd like to do is to have some sort of edge to it. So I have got a little bit more perspex. So I've got this rectangular bit as well, and the first thing I want to do is to rip it in half lengthways. Now you can see they're not both exactly the same width, those two halves, but that doesn't matter. That's fine for our purposes as long as we use the wider one for the front, and you'll see why as we go along, I think. So I've put the thinner one to one side so I don't get confused, and I definitely use this one. And what I want to do now is I'm going to round off one of these corners of this board, and I'm going to do it to the radius. Remember, this is the outside, this is the cut to the outside, that's the sink cut, this is the cut to the outside. I'm going to do it to that radius there because this is 6mm, and I want an edging to run along the bottom of the vanity top. So if I make a cut like that, and what I hope to do is make a former and then bend this round to make a nice lip to my vanity unit. I don't know if this will work. This may well not work, but we're going to give it a good old try. So the first thing to do is to measure that distance and then cut a centre hole on there, and then make a radius cut using the router in the same way. So let's do that. So I'm glad I checked this because that end wasn't exactly square. So the first thing to do is to square off the board, because if it's not square, this isn't going to work. Right, so the plan is to apply heat to the centre part of the perspex, and then to bend it round this former. And it's important to have a board at the bottom so we can press it down and keep it flat in that plane, so that if we just had the bend, we could bend it at weird crazy angles without realising. So it's important to have that flat bed. I've no idea how this is going to go. I think what I'll have to do is remove the plastic protective film from the perspex first, because that might melt onto it. Yeah, let's have a go. So hopefully you see the idea. This will now be fixed onto the top there, and I'll leave those sort of wings hanging out because I can cut them off later with the jigsaw. With silicone sealing them up against the walls of the washroom, so it doesn't matter if they're not absolutely machine accurate. But yeah, I actually didn't go too bad. It took quite a while to heat this up, and it's actually still got quite a lot of heat in it now, and it's got a little bit of spring back, which is why I've clamped it using these two bits of wood as I have. So I think actually I'm going to go and have a nice cup of tea while this cools down. Then I'll come back and I'll glue it with this special deadly glue. Ugh. It's like a acrylic solvent weld thing. Right, well, I've got my tea, and I've mocked this up, and what I've done is I've made a couple of marks with a permanent marker so I know exactly where to position it to fit it on. This is my special glue. It comes with a syringe. You take the bung out the end of the syringe and put in one of these nozzles, and then you throw the nozzle away after you've used it so you can use the syringe again. I've put my tape measure here just to support the back corner there, so once it's glued it's not tempted to flip over. I'm going to have to take the protective film off the back. I'm going to wear some gloves because again this is nasty old stuff if you get it on your skin. And I think we're ready to have a go at gluing it up. It's like a solvent weld stuff rather than a glue, so it should be a pretty tough joint. Anyway, let's see how this goes. That's all for now. If you enjoyed it, press like, subscribe if you want to see some more, and ring the bell to be notified when we upload something new.